Hello everybody, you're listening to Alfred's Nigerian News Updates. Alfred's Nigerian News Updates is brought to you by the company Alfred and Friends. To find out more about how you can invest in any one of the subsidiary companies of Alfred and Friends, simply go to alfredandfriends.com. Also check out our numerous products and services. There's something there for everybody. For this update, I'd like to talk about the governor of Rivers State, Mr. Wike. Yes, on Wike. This guy is basically revealing himself to be a tyrant, and it is very unfortunate. This is something that is not unique to him. It is very unfortunate that Nigerian leaders, when they have power, a lot of them show how evil and authoritarian they can be. Now, the governor of Rivers State demolished hotels for not locking down. Now, let me explain to you, for those of you who do not understand this. Demolition means that he brought, these giant demolition vehicles, these giant tractors, to level the whole thing to the ground. That is what he's doing. For people who did not go along with his total lockdown, he demolished so far 2 hotels. This is very terrible. What right does he have to do that? And look at how extreme it is. If a hotel does something so bad, why don't you lock it down? Why don't you close it down and charge them a fine or do something like that? Why do you have to bring tractors to level the whole thing to the ground? That is the money that somebody spent years to work to build. This is Africa. A lot of people like to complain about white people. This is why I always talk the way I do. I'm like, take the focus up white people. Black people's greatest enemy is black people. The white man is not the black man's greatest enemy. The white man is not an obstacle in the black man's way at all. The greatest enemy of black people is black people. Who has caused the most pain on black people? It is black people. Who has killed the most black people? It is black people. Right now, even in America, who are killing black people in their numbers? Is it not the mothers, the women, the black women who get pregnant and go to abortion clinics? Are they not the ones who are killing the greatest numbers of black people right now? Look at the street gangs. How many black street gangs are there? There's Crips, there's Bloods, there's all kinds of things, and it's always minorities and black people. Look at with the Latinos, there's the Latin Kings and all kinds of gangs. Which criminal gangs do white people have? Which one? Ever since the beginning of for so long now, when it comes to white people, there is only one gang, and that is Hell's Angel. And Hell's Angel is more of like a biker gang, and they keep to themselves. That is the only one white gang that have a limited number, and they just stay within biker culture and they keep to themselves. But look at how many black gangs are there. You listen to black music, all hip hop. They either have a Crip or a Blood. They are either with their red bandanas and are showing the red color and are saying things in their raps, insulting other black gang members and things of that nature all over the music. Which other race does this? Which other group of people does this? The greatest enemy of the black man is the black man who sold black people into slavery. I have emphasized this. Why do you think that a lot of the kings, these are generational kings? People want to look at the Queen of England and King of England and complain that all of that is outdated. What about all the kings and queens and all the royalty in Africa? Those are descendants of original royalty. It is not a new version of royalty. And that is interesting about Africa. You have 2 things happening. You have the political structure of leadership, and then you still have the traditional structure of leadership that has all the kings and the rulers, and they try to make the two of them work together. You see, but these traditional rulers, how come they are the descendants of the original people? How can you conquer a people without killing their king? It means that the king was in cooperation with the so-called conquerors. That means there was never any conquering. It was partnership. You see, so this is the reality. First of all, there were slaves before the white men came, to begin with. Number two, a lot of those leaders, there are those who fought. And of course, for the few that were killed, there were other descendants, like in the case of Shaka the Zulu. You know, when you look at South Africa, when Shaka the Zulu was killed by his own family, his own stepbrothers killed him. The English couldn't kill him. When Shaka the Zulu died and his brothers took over, his stepbrothers, after they fought and they couldn't win, they ended up partnering with the British. That is what happened. When you study that slavery era, you would see there's a big difference between slavery and colonization. Some people were colonized, some people were slaves, who were slaves as a result of what other Africans classify them as because of the tribes that they belong to. Keep in mind that the white man never occupied all of Africa. How did the white man get so much reach and so much influence? It's by working together with a lot of black people. You see, that is the reality. The white man did not touch every area of Africa. You see, but the blacks already had the reach and the presence there. So it is by working with those there, you know, it is the black people that chose which tribes and which people will be slaves. In addition to that, there were the white people who were just kidnapping random black people and making them slaves. So the majority of the people who were taken away in slave ships were always slaves and were always treated like cattle. And a lot of them were actually groomed, and just the same way somebody creates a place for goats and then the goats have children and all of that. That is how they were in Africa, in certain slave markets. And I would say, you know, places where slaves were being reared like cattle. This is the reality. So who is the problem there? Black people. Who is the problem now? Black people. You can imagine somebody being so wicked. This is a lockdown. The government has not provided, the River State government has not thought about providing any palliatives for anybody. There is no food. How do you expect people not to leave their houses? But you never for one moment wondered, how are these people going to get food? So how many people are now going to die of hunger? This is the Africa that a lot of black hypocrites will come and shout at the white man that the white man is killing Africa, that the white people hate black people, that they are destroying Africans, they are destroying black people. But look at what black people are doing to black people. Nobody talks about that. All the black people that are making noise about white people never talk about that. This is Africa. How can Africa, with all the poverty, they show all the pictures of poverty in Africa to Americans, to white Americans. White Americans feel remorseful. The black people that are there help to pass guilt on them for the state of Africa. They see it and then they are sending money. They are sending food. It is very easy to raise money from white people when you show them pictures of black people suffering in Africa. But in that same Africa, the African leaders are treating the people with less respect than dogs. The African leaders are doing their best to kill the African people. How can you tell people in Africa, the same Africa that you are seeing think about all those videos that you have seen. I'm speaking to the people in America. All those videos that you have seen of black people who are in need of aid in Africa, all the poverty that they are suffering. Then now think about this, that their governments, their leaders, you see, prevent all those people, the hungry ones, you know, prevents them from going out to do anything that will get them food, and prevents them doesn't get any food to them, does not deliver any food to their homes, prevents them from going out to get any food or to engage in any activity that will make them money for them to be able to feed. Then, at the same time, they have banned people sending in goods from outside. So even you, the white man, or whoever you are in whatever part of the world, if you want to send things to those people who are poor and who are hungry in those countries, it wouldn't enter because of the lockdown. It can't even come in. There's nothing that you can privately send to anybody in River State, for example. You see, if you order anything online or if you want to send anything to someone in River State, it is not going because no goods or anything. So what is this? This is a genocide. That is what it is. It is a genocide that is disguised as COVID-19. And how can you say that it is for you are trying to save lives, that is for the people? How can you be trying to save people's lives by putting them in a position where they will die of hunger in their homes? A lot of people have been set back. A lot of people will still have to pay rent in spite of the fact that they are not going out to work. That means they will be kicked out of their homes because a lot of the landlords, that is how they make their money. That is how they are able to feed their families. That is the reality. A lot of landlords, that is what they do to feed their families. So if the tenants don't pay, they will die of hunger too. They will die of hunger. Their children will die of hunger. So they will have to kick out their tenants. Tenants who have been banned from going to work. So look at the chaos that is being created. And the government does not care. The government is going around and demolishing hotels. And when you demolish hotels, you have to understand you have instituted a lockdown. What about people who came from other cities, or other places in the world and are now in hotels? How can you demolish a hotel? You have put a lockdown. They are not allowed to fly out to their own countries. They are not allowed to leave your city. And then you demolish the hotel. Where should they be? On the streets. And you have banned people from being on the streets. People are complaining about how the Chinese is chasing away Africans and treating Africans poorly. But look at how African leaders are treating Africans themselves in Africa. And these are people who are voted into office. This is why people need to be careful. And people need to be more conscious about politicians, what they believe, and also their accountability. There's also the most important issue of being able to influence the individual decisions that politicians make, because this is tyranny. This is tyranny on the highest order. Why go to that extreme? Are you the king of River State? Are you the king of Port Harcourt? How can you carry bulldozers and intentionally be demolishing buildings because they did not obey your lockdown? How much money has that now cost you? It cost you to bring out that tractor. It cost you to do all that work. You are spending money towards destruction when there are people in their homes that are hungry. You see the hypocrisy of this thing. Now more people are going to die. What about all the sick people? Like, they are shutting down pharmacies. How can you claim that you are interested in saving lives when you are shutting down pharmacies? By shutting down pharmacies, don't you know that those drugs and those services that those pharmacies are providing are saving lives? How can you say that you are trying to help people? You are trying to save lives. You are trying to keep people alive by shutting down pharmacies and arresting pharmacists, taking pharmacists to prison for opening their pharmacy, and then you are saying that you are saving lives. How is that possible? How does that even make sense? And what happened to all the people that had diseases and illnesses before COVID-19? What happens to them? What happened to all those people that needed medicine and pharmaceutical services and all of that for them to get by? Now they are going to die. Why? Because of these African leaders. And people will have the mind to open their mouth and complain about what the white man did thousands of years ago and be talking white man this, white man that. Look at the bigger problem. Look at the problem. The problem of black people is black people. Everywhere in the world, anytime you see a black man suffering, when you look at the person that is inflicting the pain, the person that is the cause of it, it is always black people. The person at the root of it is always black people. That is the way it always is. And these are facts. You see, so governors like this, who take the law into their own hands. And this is why someone like Aliko Dangote, when he saw the thing that was happening in the Niger Delta, saying that majority of Nigeria's wealth comes from the Niger Delta because of oil, which is stupidity on the part of Nigerians as a whole. Nigerians don't manufacture. Nigerians don't patronize Nigerian-made goods. The people who are manufacturing in Nigeria make to only sell to Nigerians. A lot of the people who are manufacturing in Nigeria, and that is why they manufacture low-quality goods. Because they are only marketing to Nigerians. They do not make goods, let us sell to people in other parts of the world. That is not in their mindset. That is not in their plans. There are a lot of companies in Nigeria that have existed for so long. They have a lot of influence. But do they have a branch outside Nigeria? No. Do they have the money to build branches outside Nigeria? Yes. Then as time goes on, other competing companies come from outside and then destroy and take away the markets of the Nigerian manufacturers. Why? Because of stupidity. In any case, majority of all Nigeria's wealth comes from its oil, which is stupidity on the part of all Nigerians. But Dangote, seeing what happened with the Niger Delta and all the issues that were there, decided to start his refinery on the other side, because the Niger Delta issues caused a lot of problems for all of Nigeria and also for the value of the Nigerian currency, because since oil is its major exports. That is one of the key reasons why Dangote actually decided to start that refinery. So that refinery puts Nigeria and Lagos, and most of Nigeria's economy free from whatever drama that happens in the Niger Delta area. So you can see this Niger Delta River State issue. You see, the mentality of certain leaders. There are so many things to be said, because, the nation as a whole has done the people of Niger Delta wrong. Because basically their oil is supporting all of Nigeria, yet the place is the most undeveloped place in the whole of Nigeria. At least it looks that way. It is a great injustice. It is a great act of theft. And this just shows you how much power and influence a lot of politicians have over the nation. So far in Lagos, there are more people that have been shot to death by the police in the name of COVID-19 lockdown than people who have actually died or who were registered to have died of COVID-19. Because guess what? All these people that are dying out of other diseases that cannot get treated because they are closing down pharmacies and all of that, when they die, they will say that it is COVID-19. Even when you look at a lot of newspapers, they will say this person died of COVID-19 complications. What is the meaning of that phrase? Died of COVID-19 complications. There are sometimes they will even say COVID-19 related complications. What is the meaning of that? COVID-19 related complications. It means the person did not die of COVID-19. You just found COVID-19 or assumed that the person had COVID-19. Because a lot of the people that are saying died of COVID-19 were not even tested for COVID-19. You see, recently, the president of Tanzania, the test kits that he got from China, or the World Health Organization, he said, let him test it, the guys. And I thank God that they are smart. They use the equipment to carry out tests on other things. They tested it on goats, on pawpaw, and other things. And guess what? I don't know what actually made so much distrust that they said, let us just use this testing kits and test on non-human things and see what happens. And according to the result, the pawpaw was testing positive, coronavirus positive. The goat was testing coronavirus positive. They were testing it on fruits and the fruits were testing positive. That means that these tests that people are carrying out, you see, if it means the tests are, number one, the test kits are faulty. You see? So the fact that it is saying that somebody has coronavirus, what really makes you think that that person actually has the coronavirus? You see, so all these records that you are seeing, especially in Africa, a lot of them are nonsense. When you look at some of the messages that the NDDC is sending Nigerians, you will see things like, if you have a cough and fever, please stay at home and find your state hotline. Look, if you have a cough and fever, maybe you just have fever. And if you are staying at home, you are going to die because pharmacists are closed. What makes you think that now, all of a sudden, so every fever is COVID-19? What are you talking about? So if you have a cough and a fever, stay at home and call your state hotline. First of all, everybody knows in Nigeria, when you call, are you going to call them so that they will take you away and quarantine you where you don't know? And if they will come, it is Nigeria that still have problems with having home deliveries made. You know, how many companies in Nigeria can even accommodate home deliveries? Then it is to call the government to come to a house to carry you away. And who is going to do that? But look at how they are thinking. If you have a cough and fever, please stay at home. So you mean to tell me that during this period, fever has disappeared? All fever is COVID-19. All cough is COVID-19. You see? So there is a lot of madness that comes with all these things. There are a lot of people, and the funny thing is that when these people are now kept in hospital, they will not be treated for cough or fever. The ones that have malaria will not be treated for malaria because it will be called COVID-19. And because they have been diagnosed wrongly and they are not treated for what they actually have, they will die. And when they die, they will call it COVID-19. So that is the thing. It is a shame that Tanzania is so wiser than all the Nigerians, and they can actually carry out this test with the test kits and see that all those things will fall. If the Tanzanians went on with this test kits and tested it on themselves, it will now be like, 90% of you have it. Let us quarantine the whole country or what? You see? So, look, just think about it. Nigerians are there inviting doctors from China. Are you telling me that all the doctors in Nigeria are dumb? Keep in mind that a lot of the doctors in Nigeria, they studied in the UK. They studied in America. The majority of them, quite a vast number of them, they are obviously those who studied in Nigeria. But the point of the matter is that you cannot isolate and think that Nigerian doctors are dumber or not as smart as other doctors because they went to the same schools. They passed the same exams. They studied the same things. You see, a lot of the Nigerian doctors actually studied overseas. They are the ones that even studied here in Nigeria. A lot of them go overseas for courses. So they study the same things. They have the exam. The same thing goes for nurses. A lot of nurses go to courses outside. So there is a vast amount of knowledge that they have. But even the Nigerian politicians still, because of whatever reason, they think that because somebody is white, they are smarter than all black people. So Nigerian politicians will rather spend millions to travel to every other country to treat whatever disease they have. They will not go to Nigerian doctors. So if people see things that way, if people who are Nigerian leaders do not even have confidence in Nigeria, why will anybody outside Nigeria have any confidence in Nigeria? You know, so this is very unfortunate. There's so much to be said about this. And such evil people and ignorant people need to be taken out of office because more people are going to die. More people have already been shot by the police in the name of COVID-19 lockdown and for violating social distances. More people have already been shot than even the fake numbers of COVID-19. The number of people that have died when you calculate the fake numbers of COVID-19 in Nigeria. You see, I won't even go into the stupidity of not utilizing people like Pastor Chris Oyakhilome and different healing ministers. With someone like Pastor Chris Oyakhilome, this is somebody that the government has tried to destroy him. They have searched all the healing cases, the people that have come and said that they were healed in his meetings. They have interviewed them. They have seen that these are real healings. So you have somebody that can heal people supernaturally. And this is not just limited to Pastor Chris Yakilomi. There are many people in Nigeria that are pastors and ministers that have the healing anointing. With the case of Pastor Chris, he has apparently a 100% success rate. Why can't you utilize somebody like that and say, okay, can you please come and pray for all the people that have COVID-19? But no, you want to solve problems the white man's way, according to you, or the way that the World Health Organization recommends. And the funny thing is that a lot of all these politicians, when it is their own children, for most of them, they will now secretly call pastors to come and pray for them. Rehan Bonke was called on several occasions to pray for relatives of Muslim leaders. The wife will get healed, become a Christian. The Muslim leader will thank Rehan Bonke in private. Then in public, still say that he's a Muslim, he's all of that, and then be trying to appease his Muslim constituents. It is funny. Why can't you just call, like in that time when Rehan Bonke was still around, why can't you just give him free rein? Wow, since you can do this, why don't you go to our hospitals? Why don't you minister to all these people that the medical science has given up on? But the pain and suffering in Nigeria is a result of the Nigerian leaders. And the funny thing is that this is the nonsense that apart from voting, because I don't really look at something like voting in Nigeria, because a lot of the elections are rigged. It's a matter of money. That is the reality of the matter. It's a matter of money. And it's a matter of bribing as many people as possible. There are so many factors that go into how Nigerian elections are won. But it is not just a matter of voting. But there are those who are still voting. And, the Nigerian people need to at a point stand up, because at a point they will all be killed if things like this happen. There are many genocides that have happened in Nigeria. When you look at the genocide of the people of Biafra, the Igbo people, that was deliberate. And the Northerners who hate Igbos were happily carrying it out. They were enjoying every bit of it. These are people that anytime anybody who is a non-Northerner goes to live in the North, it's just a matter of time before they start running away with their businesses lost, with everything they have built lost. They have to leave it behind. This is something that happens over and over and over again. If you are a non-Muslim and a non-Northerner and you go and build any business or company, or you say you are going to live in any part of Northern Nigeria, you will soon be reminded that Northern Nigeria is a different kind of Nigeria. It is not really Nigeria. It does not look at Nigeria as one. It looks at this place is for Muslims and for Northerners only. How many times have hundreds and thousands of people been displaced, and then they will come to the South? And in the South, you can see Muslims and Northerners allowed to settle freely and move around freely. But when a non-Northerner goes to the North to stay there or to build, no matter what kind of business you build, it is just a matter of time before there will be one kind of uprising or the other. This has happened ever since the days of Biafra. As a matter of fact, before the Biafra War, that is what happened. Before the Biafra War, there were a lot of Igbos that were chased out of the northern area of Nigeria. They were sent packing. A lot of them were killed and they had to flee. And there were some Igbos that actually married Hausas because they were thinking that it is one Nigeria. So those families were in a very unfortunate situation because the fathers had to abandon the children, because they will not now carry their children that are half Igbo, half Hausa to a place where the Igbos are now very angry and are now feeling resentment towards all the Hausas because they have lost all their businesses and everything. All of this happened way before the Biafra War. And things like that keep happening over and over and over again. That is the reason why the Boko Haram issue still remains. And you can imagine the small country that is just the neighbor of Nigeria with just a small army defeating and killing such a large percentage, over 60% of Boko Haram. Why is it that Boko Haram has not been defeated completely? Because there are certain people in the north who want Boko Haram, who like it, and they see it as a way to Islamize the whole of Nigeria and to make all of Nigeria Hausa. So these are facts and these are reality. So it is just complicated than all this. So when black people do not even look at themselves as one, Nigerians do not look at themselves as one. And when I study the history of Nigeria, I really understand why. And I think, as a matter of fact, it is pointless. At some point, it might be better for Nigeria to just divide into 3 different countries. That may be the best thing. You see? So there are so many issues. But this kind of leaders, or so-called leaders, who are causing more harm and destruction and see themselves with so much right that they will be going to demolish other people's businesses. How many of Wike's businesses are standing? He is eating. He is happy. His children are eating. And I'm sure his children are probably in America, spending money that his children are not making, but money that he's sending from here to there. Because that is the way it is with a lot of all these politicians. And his children, obviously, as it is with a lot of politicians, are obviously educated there and have citizenship there. So he is free to steal and rob from Nigerians and then send the money outside. Then President Putin will be saying things like Africa is a graveyard for Africans. Because at the end of the day, all the money that Africans make goes to every other country. And then after doing everything in every other country, they now come back to Africa and then die, and that is where they are buried. So Africa is a graveyard for Africans. I do not blame President Putin. In fact, I agree with him. What he said is the facts. Africa is a graveyard for Africans as a result of the choices that Africans have made. So there are things that have to be done. So people need to be serious, because if this thing continues, what is the death toll of the people that are dying of hunger and thirst? What is the death toll of the people who no longer have the money for pharmaceutical resources? What is the death toll of the people those who are aiding them and they themselves no longer have the money to buy the drugs or go to the hospitals where they had previous ailments and diseases before COVID-19? Everybody acts like every other disease, every other sickness has disappeared. What happens to all the people that were going to the Healing School of Christ Embassy before COVID-19? Now that you have shut down churches, all those people that were going to the Healing School and getting healed, all of them, what happens to them? Those who were terminal cases and were about to die, now they are going to die. They are surely going to die now because you have shut down churches. So you think about it, the stupidity of Africans. Africa is the reason why Africa is the way it is. It has no white man to blame. And such leaders or so-called leaders, have to be removed. It is not just Nyesom Wike, but it is a matter of all over Africa. You will see this kind of things. Leaders who terrorize their own people and kill more of their own people by their idiotic choices and their wickedness. They kill more of their own people than anybody else has ever killed from outside. You see, so these are things that need to be looked at, and serious action needs to be taken. Because as a matter of fact, when things like this continue, it's only a matter of time before young people resort to the streets, and then they will try and solve the problem with violence, which will result in a disaster of the highest catastrophical levels, and many people will die. So it shouldn't get to that level. We need to pray, and we need to carry out actionable steps based on what the Holy Spirit directs us to help all this. Now, if you are listening to this and you are outside Nigeria or River States and all of that, you have to understand that every problem anywhere concerns you. As a Christian, you should pray and you should do something. Martin Luther King said something very important. He said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And that is a fact. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. You see, it will start somewhere and later expand. Look at Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler started conquering places around him. America kept quiet. The United Kingdom kept quiet. Other powerful nations kept quiet. Then Adolf Hitler kept expanding. When he entered UK and then started destroying everything and wanted to conquer UK and was bombing everywhere. That is when it dawned, at that time it has dawned on, at that time it was Winston Churchill that was, the leader of the UK at that time, of Great Britain. That was when he started looking for, because when he saw them approaching, he saw the problem coming. But by the time they had started bombing, he was now visiting America, and America was very reluctant, until it was very clear that Adolf Hitler was coming for America too. That they decided to, okay, let us unite this, and let us all go after Adolf Hitler. But a lot of people joined that fight, that Second World War. A lot of people joined it late. When Adolf Hitler invaded Poland, or even Belgium, if when he invaded, everybody stood up and said, wait, stop, you cannot do this, the Second World War would not have happened, and Adolf Hitler would not have killed that many Jews. But people just saw it and kept quiet. You see, people saw the genocide of the Jews and kept quiet. When Adolf Hitler was carrying Jews to concentration camps and was killing them, Americans were aware of it. The American government was aware of it, but they kept quiet. That is reality. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere, because it will soon come for you. And by having the power to stop something evil from happening and you not doing anything, you're a part of it. Jesus said that whoever gathereth not with me scattereth forth abroad. That is how God looks at it. If you are not with me, you are against me. If you are not with righteousness and advancing the cause of righteousness, you are advancing the cause of unrighteousness. Even though in your mind they are not doing anything, even though in your mind they are folding your arms, there is no such thing as, well, I am not involved. I am indifferent. There's no such thing as I am indifferent. There are a lot of people that see, for example, all this homosexual agenda and LGBTQ agenda, and then they kept quiet and said, I am indifferent to it. Everybody has the right to live their life how they want to live it. Now look at all the advances that Satan has made and what he's doing. Now you can see how the plan has unveiled. And in God's eye, by saying you are indifferent and folding your arms, you are among those who advance that agenda, and you will be judged with them. That being said, let me close this with a prayer. In Jesus' name. Oh Lord Father, we bless your holy name. We thank you for all that you have done and all that you are doing in our lives. Oh Lord Father, I pray, oh Lord Father, for the people of Nigeria and the people all across Africa. I pray, oh Lord Father, that ignorant and wicked men who are in political positions of power will be taken out. They will be plucked out in the name of Jesus Christ. I pray, O Lord Father, that those who have been forced to stay in their homes, those who have been forced to die of hunger and thirst, I pray, O Lord Father, that all is going to be well in the name of Jesus Christ. I ask, O Lord Father, for direction and instructions that we would follow to know what steps we should take to move in your will and in your word to solve this problem and to save lives in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you for listening to this broadcast. Remember to go to alfredandfriends.com and subscribe. It's very important. I'd like to keep in touch with you. Once again, thank you and God bless you.